Yeah, I hate to skip to the ending, but what was that? What's up, Flick fans? We talk all things Netflix on this channel. There's a brand new movie called The Old Guard 2. I thought the first one was fairly fun. I forgot a lot about it, but refreshed my memory. Is the second enjoyable?
How are you doing?
I'm at peace.
Didn't look that peaceful when you were throwing that guy out the window.
So we're back with Andy, her team of warriors, continuing their mission to protect humanity. This time around, they have to face off against a new foe who threatens the fabric of the old guard. And they're dealing with the return of another immortal who they thought was lost forever. So a couple of plot points in here, and one thing I enjoyed about the first is that the plot was structured fairly well, but I was more so invested based on the idea of this group of immortals and the cast. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Charlize Theron, this crew that she's assembled, even KiKi Layne, I think, is a fantastic actor. This time around, Henry Golding, it's been a bit since I've seen him. I always like his presence on screen. And Uma Thurman. I like her presence in this film. I just felt like her character was shortchanged. I felt that way about a lot of aspects of this movie. But let's start with a different director altogether. Victoria Mahoney, I don't know much about her. When you're transitioning from a smaller role or from TV to a movie, even though this is on Netflix, right, it's really hard to bring together a huge cast of actors like this and a story that I believe warrants a lot more depth than what you're getting, and that's not really the director's fault. That can also be attributed to the writing room. It's a lot of good ideas going into the sequel 5 years later, by the way. The first one came out in 2020, so they waited way too long to capitalize on that OG film. But also, Charlize Theron, she's lost her immortality. We've got to deal with, well, the idea of mortality a bit more in this film, but also this old formidable foe coming back, the return of someone that you once thought was a part of you, and so all of these ideas at play. And that being said, I don't think anything here comes together whatsoever. This was such a boring watch compared to the first. Not only is it a boring watch because you have bland action sequences, choppy editing that really struggles to find its pace. I thought it started out with a nice action sequence, and some of the action scenes are cool. You can tell they are trained well. Charlize Theron, Henry Golding, Uma Thurman, obviously. But it's hard to see a lot of that action on display. It's hard to be able to tell that it was probably well choreographed, but because it is so choppy, you can't really tell. That's not to say all the action is bad, and what Theron is dealing with here should have been way more impactful than it actually was. She actually showcases a lot of emotion towards the end, but you have a lot of other actors involved here, and the movie doesn't feel like it knows what to do with their characters. Ejiofor was really good in the first film, and I just didn't feel that presence as much this time around. And you have some of these more minor roles to where you thought they had character development in the first, but we get to this film and it shifts its focus altogether. And I understand why it does. You're bringing in a couple of new superstars, and you've got to push this plot forward, but where they push it to, they're trying to do too many things. And then we get to the end of this movie to where you finally start to set things up. You're ending it off with a handful of action set pieces. Okay, we found our footing. It took us an hour and 20 minutes to get here, but let's do this thing. And then the movie ends. I'm thinking, you took this long to get here, trudged our way through numerous plot points, had a handful of fun action sequences that kept us going, really good actors involved, so that's going to keep others going, but you're building up to something that ultimately doesn't happen because the film cuts off. It gives us the setup, I won't even say warranted, for the ending that we get, or could have gotten, but then the movie ends. And I'm thinking, what?
What the fuck is this?
Look, I'm usually the guy that doesn't mind a good part one or part two, right? I think of Across the Spider-Verse, the way that it ends, setting us up for the next film, but it still manages to deliver a satisfying conclusion and numerous satisfying moments. Same thing with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. That kind of left us on a cliffhanger, but you still get character arcs. You still get full-on development. That is lacking, totally, in this film. From start to finish, I was wondering, where are we headed? And then the moment I get an inkling of where this story is going, once we had to trudge through some of these slow moments to get there and numerous choppy action set pieces, it's finally starting to hit. I was entertained over the last 10 to 15 minutes of this movie. I'm thinking, okay, well, now we got a chance to kind of at least somewhat salvage this third act. I mean, maybe they've already confirmed part 3, that's fine. But if they wait 5 more years for the next film after the horrible resolution of this movie, who's going to care? Who's going to even watch part 3? And so the idea of what they were going for here, it's frustrating as a, light fan of the first film. It's fun. It was entertaining enough, right? But then I'm thinking, now, do I even care? And there's still aspects of their character in this movie that I really enjoyed, but they're lacking so much that made them entertaining, enjoyable, that made those performances stand out. And ultimately, you're left with a cliffhanger and almost no satisfaction. Yeah, sure, there's one emotional character arc towards the end that gives us a chance to see some really good emotion from Charlize Theron. That scene in a vacuum was great, but then the rest happened. I need your thoughts about The Old Guard 2. How'd you feel about that ending? Did it work for you? And did you enjoy the first one like I did? The Old Guard 2 takes everything semi-enjoyable about the first and dumbs it down in a way that makes it difficult to sit through. The editing is choppy, the action is bland, and even the occasionally redeeming character arc or two feels rushed. The worst part is easily the final few minutes that completely cuts the story off to force you to wait on a third film. And again, I am not sure if that is going to be worth the wait, but maybe it will for you all. Plenty of Netflix content dropping this weekend. I believe The Sandman Season 2 comes out soon, so if you're not subscribed, do that. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with your sibling or your grandma. Something like that. All right, thanks for watching. See you soon.
What? No.